Hello, everybody. In this video, I wanted to get a little bit political or anti-political, we can say. So we are in the middle of 2024, well, beginning 2024. And this year, there are supposedly a lot of elections in different countries in the world. Let me just read some of the countries that have elections in 2024. We have Russia, India, the United States, Mexico, Iran, both Koreas, both North and South Korea, Ukraine, Venezuela, Taiwan. Also, I think Taiwan already had its elections, and I believe Russia is starting its elections in March, right? We have African countries too, like Senegal, Rwanda, Jordan, Portugal in Europe, Uruguay. So, what I wanted to talk about in this video, well, personally, I've never believed in elections. I have never voted, and I don't plan to do this in my lifetime. I believe just like John Paul Sartre, I think he never voted. It's something that I think is illogical. It's irrational. Not because the process is illogical or irrational. The process is done in good faith, but I don't believe in the candidates, right? The candidates are the people that, you know nothing about, and then out of nowhere, in the middle of, the propaganda for elections, they just pop out of nowhere. You don't know their names, you don't know who they are, because you're not in the political tight circle. I believe they're like senators, or they're like these people that have been in office for years and they're dedicated to the public life. But out of nowhere, they just come out and they're like, vote for me. I promise to do this. I promise to do that. Right? This happens at a state level and at a federal level. But I believe those people only want your vote, and that's it. Right? They want to get elected. And once they get elected, you don't see them again. You don't hear from them. You may occasionally see them like at some public event, but then you don't really know what they're up to. You don't really know what they're doing. Right? So these people get elected thanks to your vote, right? And it's kind of interesting how, for example, in the United States, the Electoral College is the one who decides who is the president. Like, I think in 2000, between Al Gore and George Bush, there was this polemic because the popular vote voted, that is, the popular vote voted for Al Gore, but the Electoral College vote was for George Bush. So George Bush won, right? And the Electoral College is basically like the senators and the people that are in politics already. So they make the final call. In Mexico, it's the popular vote that decides the president, right? So that's like a little bit of a difference. But I was watching this video on Latin America, and this guy was saying, Latin America is the way it is because, some populist president comes around every so often, vote for me, I'm going to change the way things are, I'm going to change your life. And people believe that person, right? Because the sense of obligation and responsibility is not upon the citizen, it's upon the government body, right? And that's the problem. So people think that if they vote for someone, that someone will facilitate their life, right? That someone will help them out and will make their life easier, when in reality that's not even close to what actually happens, right? I don't know if there are certain groups of people that are really tied or connected to certain candidates, so when they get elected, like they say, the current expression or the common expression goes, they throw them a bone, so they're able to get into office and actually make decisions that will have an impact on their lives, right? But beyond that, I mean, everybody, the common people that are out there just, going about their day, and they vote, and then, they go back to their normal lives and nothing really changes, right? So now I wanted to talk about this because this is kind of a cycle, right? So for me, I justify this, or I explain it with an addiction to hope. People get addicted to hope very easily. So it's very simple for these candidates to come, months before or prior to the election, and just, fill your head up with propaganda. So I've seen a lot of people, as soon as they see the candidates, they say, well, there aren't really any good options, right? But they're just constantly being bombarded by the candidates, and then the polemic, this guy said this, or this person said this, and now this person responded. Now there's this polemic, that they eventually do make up their mind and they say, well, this is the one that's the best option, right? This candidate A is better than B, or candidate B is better than A, or whatever. And that's due to the propaganda that's bombarded, right? So at the end of the day, they do opt for someone, even though in the beginning they said they weren't going to opt for anybody. Now, this is a cycle. And I believe people have weak memories, and the older people get, I mean, they should learn from experience. When they have voted for someone, how I dare ask them, like, have things really changed in the past when you voted for someone, and that someone actually won, right? Did things really change, or is it just all like a big game, a big play that, like theater, right? Like they just say, yeah, things are going to change, and then you participate in that and you say, yeah, I'm going to vote for you. They win, nothing happens. And then, a couple years later, some other person comes around saying, I promise this, that, and they forget what just happened, or what has happened like a bunch of times in the past. People should be more aware of that. I think it's a cycle, right? And populism has been on the rise. It's what, ultimately it's what has always gotten like the underdogs elected, right? Like Barack Obama, Donald Trump, AMLO in Mexico, right? Like or PAN in 2000 in Mexico. Like when they say that things are going to change, right? And they actually win because they say things are going to change because I'm different. Just because of that, because I'm different, I'm going to do things differently. And they actually don't. And, I'm not saying that they don't want to. And this is my final point, my final argument, which I'm going to make. Presidents and anybody that's a leader is in a very tight node. A node is a point of intersection between many, many different lines, right? So, when they're outside of the leadership position, they can promise all these things, because I think it's lack of experience, and they can view it like, yeah, I'm gonna make all these changes. But as soon as they get to office, if they move, right, like just imagine a point of intersection with a lot of lines connected to it, and if they move like one way, those strings are going to move with it, right? So they're going to affect many things. That's why most people in leadership positions don't do much. It's not that they don't want to. I believe many of them are good faith individuals and they want to. They just can't, because they're going to affect a lot of other people that are not going to take that very kindly, right? They're going to say, well, if you do this for them, if you help them out, you're going to affect all these other people, right? So more than they influencing their environment ends up influencing them. Their environment ends up changing them, right? And that like the whole politics scene, for me, it's like very dramatic. It's very theatrical. That's why, like, for example, House of Cards is my favorite series. I love watching it. I love following politics, but I just think that when it comes to really doing things, it's not really, the politics is more of ideas being discussed, but the status quo basically stays the same, right? And what really influences social change is actually the cultural influence of people, right? Society's influence. So let me know what you guys think. 2024 is election year for many countries, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.